Hello, my name is Maddie Brown
and Kiara Romano,
reporting live for Deirdre's 70s History Project.
We hope you enjoy. In the 1970s, many major events took place in politics. One of these was the oil embargo. In 1973, the oil embargo started. It started when Egypt and Syria, with support of other Arab nations, made a surprise attack on Israel during a very important holiday there, Yom Kippur. Israel did not have enough people or supplies, so the U.S. hopped in and helped Israel. As a punishment, the Arab nations raised the oil price. Within weeks, the price went from less than $3 a barrel to more than $11 a barrel. About 13% of oil in the U.S. comes from Saudi Arabia, so when they made the embargo, it was very important. The embargo finally fell in 1974.
Another important event from the 1970s was the Apollo program. The Apollo program was a program made with the goal to fly people to the moon. The program went from 1963 to 1972. Many of the flights were successful, but some were not. Flights between 1 and 6 were the only ones that actually landed on the moon. Many others took pictures of the moon but did not actually land.
Another important event was the Nixon resignation. In 1972, the Watergate scandal happened. The Watergate Hotel was where the Democratic Party national headquarters was located. While they were talking together and making plans, Nixon sent 5 people to spy on them and brought him information. After this happened, 2 reporters from the Washington Post found out about this and revealed this to the public. After Nixon won the re-election in 1974, before many people were about to press charges, he resigned.
Presidents in the 1970s. There were 3 presidents during this time period: Richard N. Nixon, Gerald R. Ford, and Jimmy Carter. Nixon, who is nicknamed Tricky Dick, was elected in 1968 and was the first president ever to resign due to the Watergate scandal. Ford was elected in 1974 and served till 1977. He was nicknamed Mr. Nice Guy. Jimmy Carter was elected in 1977 through 1981. He arranged a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel in 1977.
Civil rights for minority groups in the 1970s.
During the 1970s, segregation was implemented. In 1974, mixed-race schools and women minority groups started to occur. Women's rights and Vietnam War protesting covered most of the streets of America.
Mixed-race schools. During the 70s, segregation was not a big problem. That was actually when mixed-race schools started to occur due to students stepping up for their rights. All across America, segregation became more and more rare. There were multiple non-segregated proms in the local high schools.
Women's rights. Women's rights included workplace inequality. Outspoken women leaders, including Steinem and Betty Friedan, aimed to raise women up from the home work situations to high-paid, college-educated students. My baloney has a first name, it's O-S-C-A-R.
My baloney has a second name, it's M-A-Y-E-R.
Oh, I love to eat it every day, and if you ask me, I will say, 'cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Oscar Mayer, the first name in Bologna.
How's that?
There were many wars in the 1970s. One of these was the Cold War. It lasted in between 1947 and 1991. The Cold War was when the U.S. was against the USSR, or also known as the Soviet Union. The communists were on the USSR side, and the capitalists were on the U.S. side. This happened right after World War II due to what happened in that war. Most of the war was fought in Korea and Vietnam. What was interesting about this war is that the USSR and the US never actually fought. They fought, but they did not hurt each other, so they called it the Cold War, though there were a few hot wars inside the Cold War.
Another war was the Vietnam War, and that lasted from 1954 through 1975. The war was North Vietnam versus South Vietnam. The northern part of Vietnam was supported by China, and the southern by the USA. The war was caused by the communists and the expansion of China. The Chad conflict, 1978 through 1987. Sporadic series of conflicts between Libya and Chad. The conflict started by the idea to expand the barriers of Chad. The Yom Kippur War, 1973 through 1973. Although the war only lasted 6 days, there was a series of allied countries from the Arab and Egypt territory versus Israel. In order to win the back land from Israel, Egypt attacked. Music in the 1970s. There were many popular groups in the 70s. The most popular groups included Gloria Gaynor, Chick, Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, Blondie, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Marvin Gaye, and Star. The music included
For disco, there was I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor in 1978 and Le Freak by Chick in 1978.
For the rock section, there was Money by Pink Floyd in 1973, Beast of Burden by the Rolling Stones in 1978, Heart of Glass by Blondie in 1978.
For R&B, there was Tears of a Clown by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles in 1970 and The Midnight King of Georgia by Gladys Knight.
For funk, there was What's Going On by Marvin Gaye in 1971, War by Edwin Starr in 1970. Popular movies in the 1970s. There were many popular movies made in the 70s. The animation was very different in this time period. The picture looked very fake. Some of the movies included
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971,
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, 1975,
Jaws in 1975,
Star Wars in 1977,
Superman in 1978,
Star Trek in 1979,
Network in 1976,
Rocky in 1976,
and American Graffiti in 1973. There were many new discoveries and inventions in the 1970s. A few of these include
the VCR. The VCR was invented by Charles Ginsberg in 1971. VCR for a video cassette recorder, but most people call it the VCR. Pretty much, a VCR is an electronic used to record audio and video in this via tape.
floppy disk. The floppy disk had almost the same use as a hard drive or memory stick, except it looked much different. It looks like an 8-inch plastic disc covered with magnetic iron oxide. It was invented by Alan Turing in 1971.
The food processor. The food processor was invented in 1971 by Peter Verdun. Food processors to most may seem like a blender, except food processors are made for more than just solid foods and require less liquid.
Origin of the universe. Stephen Hawking was the one that discovered that the world is not infinite. Part of the evidence he used was Einstein's theory of relativity. He showed everyone the evidence in 1970.
The LCD. Hoffmann LaRoche was an inventor of the LCD, also known as the liquid crystal display. It was invented in Switzerland in 1970. He eventually sold the patent to a wrist watch company.
There are some cultural curiosities and random facts in the 1970s.
The Rubik's Cube. Erno Rubik was the inventor of the Rubik's Cube. He was 29 when he finally got the Rubik's Cube made the way he wanted it. It was made in the year of 1974 in Budapest, Hungary. He finally got the patent for the Rubik's Cube in 1977.
Shrink eating. Shrinky Dinks were invented in 1973 in a Cub Scout project. Shrinky Dinks are made from recycled plastic number 6, also known as polystyrene. What is interesting is that Shrinky Dinks have no patents because polystyrene is very widely known and produced. A quart of milk would cost 33 cents in the 70s.
A loaf of bread would cost 24 cents.
The world population was 3.63 billion.
The average cost of a house was $23,450.
The average car was under $4,000.
A movie ticket would cost around $1.50.